This is the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where it's all about getting the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. Brought to you by Itamar Shafir, founder and CEO of Umbrella, the technology platform and brand that is powering thousands of marketing agencies around the country. Find him at umbrellaus.com. And now, here's your host, Itamar Shafir.
Welcome to the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where we talk with successful marketing experts about ways to build and grow your digital marketing agency. Our guest today is a serial entrepreneur, a high-tech investor. He's the founder of Firstwave, the first CRM company to ever go public. He was named one of the 10 most influential people in CRM by Sales and Marketing Automation magazine, has been called the father of customer relationship management by CRM magazine, and currently serves as a CEO of SalesTalk Technologies. I'm excited to say hello to Richard Brook. Hey, Richard.
Thank you.
Wow. You have done so much and you have so much experience, and I can probably interview for 3 hours, but I'm going to try and choose the best questions for the next 30 minutes. Before we deep dive, I know you were helping agencies today. We talked about it before the podcast, so that's actually going to chime in directly into what we're doing here. But before we talk about how CRM is related to helping agencies, maybe you can tell the listeners a little bit about your background so they can see how you got where you got.
Okay. I'll try to make it short. I think out of the box, I'm different, maybe because of my background. Okay. But I majored in accounting, and I did real well at it. And so I went to work for Pricewaterhouse, a big CPA firm, and got my CPA. And then I got an MBA and did well. And then I was practicing with a CPA firm, had my own CPA firm, and IBM said, would you sell your software to another CPA? I wrote a time and billing system because I think differently, okay, about how to bill time. And this has to do with marketing. The relevance to marketing agencies. Marketing agencies, when I went to these CPA firms across the United States, they would have big meetings. IBM would bring me in and said, would you talk about your software? Do CPA firms really need a computer in their office? What's the subject? And so when I talked about the billing, I would ask the CPAs and managing partners, who sets the billing rates in your firm? And they would go, Johnny does, Sue, and Johnny, the managing partner. I said, no, they don't. They don't. Your client sets your billing rates. In traditional CPA firms, it's 3 times the salary. I said, that has no bearing on anything. They do it based upon perceived value. And so my advice to marketing agencies is you've got to increase your perceived value, and your cost doesn't matter. And you're going to you do not want to compete on price. You want to compete on perceived value. Your perceived value is higher. I mean, I truly had, when I was practicing CPA, I delivered a tax return to a dentist, and this is from my marketing strategy here. I delivered to him. So Dr. Garber, he was referred to me by the veterinarian. And I said a long time ago, my fee was a very long time ago. It was $250 was the guy charged him last year, okay, to do this tax return. And so I said, Dr. Garber, I did your tax return, but it's going to be more than last year because I just set you up my accounting system to go down next year. He said, okay, how much is it? He said it was $400. I said, $400. He stood up and he looks at me like this. And he says, that's not enough. He said, you did too much work for that. Now, he said, tear that up, and he wrote me a check for $600. And then he takes me these fishing trips and things like that. I had 8 dentists at the end of the year.
Nice.
8. See, so the point being, because every dentist in town says this Richard Brock's the best CPA in town. Well, did I know the most about tax law? No. I was young. But did I have a high perceived value? And what I did is I showed Dr. Garber what I was doing, and he asked me to do more services because I got him involved. Gets back to marketing agencies. And if you just do it for them, the more they get involved, your clients see what you're doing, appreciate what you're doing, you can be better off. So, but that, to get back to the history, so IBM said, would you sell your software to another CPA firm? Well, software's all profit, right? So I started doing those webinars. There were 40,000 CPA firms in the United States. I sold 10,000 of them.
Wow.
25% market share, so all across the United States. And then I went to work for the company that did the acquisition. My company was acquired by a New York Stock Exchange company. So they wanted me, they liked me a lot, and they said, would you come out to California and be the VP of acquisitions? And I said, okay. So I flew out to California, moved out to California, and I traveled around even internationally doing acquisitions for them. And I walked in, nobody had anything like I had for the basic CRM. And I said, that's how I got the father. I said, that's crazy. So then I came back and I started Brock Control Systems. I said, I'm going to start a new company to sell the CRM, what was called CRM system. So I wrote the first CRM thing because I saw there was a need for it. And it was the first CRM company to go public, Pro Control Systems. It was also the #1 stock in the New York Stock Exchange in 1994, because it was very hot, CRM. Then, going along here, CRM is now a commodity. And the problem with CRM, when I first started in CRM, there was no record keeping. Okay? I mean, the guys had notepads. And then computers came out, really notepads, okay? The notepads. And, of course, if you're the boss, you got no visibility. So then we says, why don't we get them to use green screens and update the system? Brilliant idea. So it's gone beyond way that. And what happened is that management got involved with CRM, and this has a bearing on marketing agencies, okay? CRM has now done 2 sales reps, not 4 sales reps. And it's the sales managers want to keep their jobs, and the CEO wants to keep his job, because it's not about selling the most, it's about making your commitment to the board. Because the board fires CEOs for missing numbers, not because they don't do their best, because they don't know that. So the CEO, if the sales rep says it's here, the CEO will say it's here, so he makes the numbers. So I'm very disappointed in that particular game. So CRMs are done 2 reps, which is why they hate them. So what I'm thinking, the real secret sauce, for marketing agencies and whatever. So I got into marketing automation, and that was Lead Life Solutions, and we did real well with that, and still have some clients using that. And it was an early way of doing that. Now space is really crowded. So now I've moved into sales relevance. It's salesrelevance.com. Get SalesTalk points to salesrelevance.com, and it's about applying artificial intelligence to sales calls. It gets back combining CRM to marketing automation. Here's the beautiful part about it, and I'm seeing this and loving it. I hope I'm not going too far with the story, but marketing agencies today, okay, they work from home. Now, we were doing a lot of business marketing agencies, and I went, oh my God. It was the first thing that people cut with COVID, and rightfully so. What's going to happen in the world, right? Now, but what the most important thing is, now the buyers don't take meetings anymore. They don't. And so the pressure on marketing is you've got to be relevant. And all the stuff that you provide in your umbrella services, the business in a box for marketing agency, is totally relevant. And you have a multi-mode touch of how to reach people, and that is what you have to do. Now, what we help marketing agencies realize is that, okay, the sales guys are kind of desperate, like, no one will meet with me anymore. They won't. And it's very easy to turn somebody off and you say, hey, can I have 15 minutes of your time to better understand your needs? And the answer is, no, I'll have to have a root canal or something. I'd rather have a root canal, okay? And no, boom, okay? Now, if I'm sitting across the table from you, all that rapport building stuff works. It doesn't work anymore. So now the beautiful thing about the marketing agency, the desperate need for marketing agencies is to write really compelling copy for sales reps to be relevant. Relevant in every call, because you've got a few seconds to be relevant. Now, my AI engine takes that content and serves it up based upon your profile, your industry, what you looked at, etc. So it all comes together. But if you cannot start off with a dumb, can I understand your needs? No. You better start off with an opening statement, an AI-generated opening statement that makes you relevant. Now, sales reps, you could accuse them of a lot of things, but not of writing good content, and that's where marketing agencies come in.
So the marketing agency kind of sets the script, and the AI knows where to pitch the script to the sales rep. How does that work?
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about it is marketing agencies have been writing good content for years. They do. That's their job. Okay, that's not the sales rep's job. But now you need PDFs and things to give the people to follow up, right? And the website has documents on it. Sales reps have limited attention spans and limited memory. So what our software does, it takes the content marketing does, and you copy it in our software, and it Google indexes it, all the content, okay? And with the Google index. Then when you get a profile of a lead in your CRM, whatever CRM you're using, it doesn't matter. But when you click on the Open That Lead record, it knows everything about you, what your title, your industry, your company size, okay? And then what would be relevant to you. I'll give you an example for an opening statement. If you're the CEO of a market leader, I'm going to say, well, as a market leader, you're just so mad at those little well-funded VC guys that come in here and they're not trying to make a profit. They just screw everything up, and they screw up the price, and they make promises can't deliver. Is that right? And you go, yes, let's get them. Now, if you were a market challenger, I said, as a market challenger, I really admire your challenge. I know it's hard because those big guys, they got that market presence and they just clout that market presence and all the users, and they're stifling your innovation. They could not compete with you if they got out in the field with you and you go, yes, you see, I'm relevant.
Yeah.
That is totally different. And that's where marketing comes into play. So there's never been a bigger need for well-crafted messages, and a sales department is not guilty of writing well-crafted messages. Marketing is, but they got to take them off of marketing, so to speak, and put them in the CRM so they pop up when that lead records open up and continue. And even as the call goes on, based upon the time you talk about something, it should change the message to reflect what you were interested in.
And okay, so let's say I'm a marketing company and I want that. I want my sales rep to have the exact, or I want to help a client that has a sales rep to have the exact situation that you're describing. When I'm working with your system, am I writing a specific copy according to a templated, buckets that you give me, or I just write whatever I want as a script, shove it in, and then your AI does some sort of magic?
The latter. And even here's the nice thing about it. Like we have a partner that sells insurance, and he wrote a book, and it's 183 different rebuttals to sell insurance. It's a 178-page book. We took his book, we imported his book. He gave it to me as a PDF, and 3 minutes later, we had broken his 178-page book into like 250 different talking points, all Google indexed. So you don't redo your content. Yes, you can copy and paste it, but why would you? Why don't you take your marketing content, just import it in my system, and then it'll default to the words that are in there for the indexing, and then you stuff it with keywords. Because see, here's the problem, okay? Marketing's doing a great job of doing this, and it's easy for them to have a pitch for a market leader and a pitch for a challenger. Very easy. They can do that easy. Heck, a lot better than a sales rep. However, the sales rep, a lot of times in today's world, the guy who's opening the conversation is less experienced. He's doing that job because he's less experienced. And sadly, he doesn't call people with less experience. He calls somebody with money, because that's how you make a sale. So you have a huge disparity. And so he's calling someone with more experience, and then the guy smells out a green bean here, and green bean says, "You don't want to buy that from me, do you?" And he goes, "No, thank you. Good luck, kid. Call me in a couple of years," right? And so, but marketing can solve that problem because there's not a person. I saw your response on your face. When you saw, if I hit you with, I got you all fired up about the, market challenger, market leader. And I say, now here's how other people who are doing exactly what you're doing are doing something differently. Tell me more. Okay? Right. And so, but see, I have to be relevant. And then during the call. So the trick, I think the secret features, leave your CRM alone. Yes, it's needed for the forecast. Yes, we do have, it is a CRM, but we'd say use your CRM because it just click a button from your CRM, open up the lead record. Use anything in there. Anything, including the digital behaviors that marketer does. Because I got to look at what you were looking at. And I've got ways to solve that now that cookieless world, but that's another thing we solve. But I need to be relevant to you. To me, that's the secret of sales. It used to be if I was lucky enough to get an appointment with you, I could sit across the table from you. I could look at your books and see what you got here, and I said, well, what's that thing here? What makes you think about that? Why'd you like that? Why'd you choose that? I'm not in your office, and you ain't got time for that crap, so to speak. Net. And it's not a mean thing. But we're working from home, so most people work longer, but they have believe it or not, the average sales call is shorter. And the attentions, they're shorter because the buyer's doing net. And they ain't got time for foolishness of the ill prepared. So marketing has never been more important. Now this will stun you. I think it'll stun you. What we're seeing a trend is that companies are realizing this. And they're starting to realize that the field sales rep, traditional field reps, like, hey, let's go play golf, or let's meet for lunch, and we'll talk about it. He's unemployed, okay? And the fluffy stuff doesn't work anymore. Then you got the aggressive, BDR. Now, the aggressive, if you look at people who are blowing it ballistically up, like SalesTalk, things like that, it's ballistically hot. SalesTalk is a sales cadence system. Cadence. Following up with people regularly, which is necessary because you're hard to reach. Now, the problem that they solve so beautifully is that the green bean, the person who will take the BDR job, he's undisciplined, how the kids go through school, they get out of school, the attention span of a gnat, whatever, and they're calling these people more experienced, and any excuse known to man, they won't do it. But SalesTalk, very beautifully and very professionally, has a beautiful little product that says, Mr. Green Bean, I think you need to follow this cadence because the boss is going to like, were you here today? Maybe you don't like to do this job, so let me find someone that would, right? So they're a cadence system. They're about being efficient. We're about being effective. And that's where marketing comes into play, because nobody else writes content. But what we're seeing that the cadence people, okay, that the cadence people can take our content and use it to reflect and make the reps more effective. And that's what's necessary, is being more effective, because that's what makes a sale, is being effective. So marketing, but you're seeing, I was going to make the point I was going to make, is you're seeing BDR organizations are actually starting now to report to marketing. I was stunned by that. I mean, I was just an observation, because companies are realizing that the marketing department, the BDRs are not bad people. We have a good system for them, okay? What they need is marketing's understanding that the problem is not messages that are right, that are never used. It's how to use the messages when you need them. And that's one of the things we're real big on our reporting. So I think you're going to see over time marketing messages, and you'll see, if I was a marketing agency, I would say that I am going to work with your BDR team. What? Oh, yeah, no. I'm not going to leave my stuff at the door and hope you can find it and hope you'll open it and we'll use it. I'm going to track what's used. I'm going to improve what's being used. I'm going to counsel you what's working. That's the difference.
And let's try to break it down to smaller businesses. Okay, so once you have a marketing team, you have a sales team, and then obviously all those things come into play, and you just need to explain why this is better. What about smaller companies? Like, let's say 5 to 10 employees. Maybe some of them don't have a CRM. That's a completely different conversation. But maybe they have a very basic kind of situation, and they don't really have a sales ops as you would imagine in a bigger company. Is there any way to help them, or is that too small? How we help them? Like, what's the situation there?
No, they're perfect, because one, they're appreciative. And here's another thing. The bigger the company, the more people make decisions, and people start to protect their jobs. And there's a lot of resistance to change at bigger companies because it affects my job, etc. If the smaller the company is, more likely the entrepreneur is there and he goes, I need to make payroll, and so we need to make more sales. Now, so there's more of a cooperation. So the marketing agency can become the integral partner of the smaller companies. The integral partner, because smaller companies, they make widgets, they sell cars, whatever, they license this, whatever. They do not do marketing. That is a skill set. That is a heck of a good skill set, different than they're making their widgets. So if they can get, and they will, get the confidence of the CEO and the team that they can take their message and craft and deliver it, they will be embraced, pulled in, and they'll say, please, just don't dump off your content. Just don't write the emails. I want you to look at what's happening in the sales team. I want you to look at the actual time that they're talking about different subjects and modify your content. I want you to look at the sales that close, and I want you to make the content more relevant to that. I want you to coach the sales team by comparing Tom, Dick, and Harry and say the reason that Tom's got a new car and you two don't is look what Tom's doing different than you are. So because we track what's really happening, it's much easier if sales reps have an ego. That's a fact.
Yep.
Right? And so, but they love they're competitive, right? And so if I can say Tom, Dick, and Harry, you need to sell more professionally, and they go, yeah, whatever. But if I can sit down here, see the new car in the parking lot? Here's what Tom has it. And they go, really? Then they will replicate behaviors that are working. So I think a smaller agency has more chance to redefine themselves as an integral revenue partner, not a technical marketing agency. And that's a big difference. You need to be a revenue partner, not writing a bunch of copy and emails. I mean, you have to. That's kind of your job. Like you go to a doctor, yes, he's going to put Band-Aids on you and stuff like that. You don't go there and have him put on Band-Aids. You have him to solve the problem. So if the marketing agencies will redefine themselves as I'm an integral revenue partner, and I have a skill set that you need, but my skill set does you no good if it's not used. So I'm going to be part of your team, and they'll pay you handsomely because I'm giving you feedback.
So, I guess a lot of, I work with a lot of agencies directly, and a lot of the small ones, I bet they're hearing this and they're saying, look, I have some marketing skill sets, some things I know how to do, some things I don't know how to do, and then Umbrella can do it for me. Or, there are a limited amount of things that I know how to do in marketing. Now, I feel comfortable writing a copy for an ad. I feel comfortable writing even a script, but going all the way and actually providing sales consultation, sitting down with people, providing advice and helping manage, maybe it's a little bit out of my scope. So is that a layer of skill set that people can pick up fast, or you actually need to grow into sales and become a little bit more expert on that before you can do it?
I'm going to laugh here because, probably America's number one sport's college football, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you get people, you talk about funny. You watch on TV how they dress up in their costumes, and they've all got opinions. And oh boy, at football season, this guy's a better coach than that. That's the same true of sales managers. Okay? Now,
this podcast is brought to you by Umbrella. Have an agency? Check out umbrellaus.com to grow it today.
Okay? What I'm saying, the marketing agency, the sales manager who allegedly, I know everything, okay? Now, one time I was a sales rep. I did well. I got promoted, which means I'm the sales manager, but I still don't know how to be a manager. I just know how to be a good sales rep. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what I was doing right. But what the marketing agency can do is say, let me explain something. We have agreed in talking to you, and by looking at your competitors and what they're doing, this is the right presentation, the message that differentiates you that will close business. Okay. Now, what you're missing, this is the beautiful part of our system here, what you, manager of your business, are missing is you don't know what your reps are doing. But with our system, they will click to what you're discussing so that they can get a bullet point, and so it can be tracked. So they're tracking what they're discussing as they're going through it. So the time is there. Now, you're the marketing agency, and then you go back and we generate reports, and you say, Mr. Voss, no, this is really funny. This is almost a true statement. People say, well, you were looking at my revenue numbers? How'd you get access to my accounting? No, I don't know who sold more, but I can tell you this is the behaviors. For example, we map. The manager decides that, Tom, Dick, and Harry, you're supposed to have an opening statement and spend about 2 minutes to open them up, and to set the stage. Your qualifications should spend like 5 minutes, let's just say that, because if you don't, then you don't know how to relate to their perceived needs, etc. So with our software, we'll say you had a 30-second opening statement, a 2-minute, thing. You're way short. Or get to the point. You took 8 minutes instead of 5 minutes. Now, why does that matter? It doesn't matter to me. It matters to your wife or your spouse because you ain't bringing home the paycheck because it doesn't match. And so the marketing person here's the point I was making to bring it home. I'm saying the sales manager truly usually doesn't know what's going on without my system, and even he or she do not know what's really working. Because they just don't know. And the sales rep's like, tell me why you're selling. Well, I did so and so. Is that really why? So what we do is we're saying, like, you go to the doctor and you say, I don't feel good. I don't need to ask. I need to say, let me do some tests. So what we do is we give a picture of what's working, what's not, where the variance is. Now, the marketing agency is more qualified than the sales manager because he's more probably quantitative, right? And he can take the report and he can go to the boss and he says, let's sit down together here, and Mr. Sales VP and Mr. CEO of your company, I'm your revenue partner. And I want to show you what I'm seeing of the messages that I'm saying here, what seems to be working. So how can we get the reps who are not talking this way in this sequence, how can we rebalance things? They're missing nothing. Because I guess you said the question, how are they qualified to talk about sales management? I'm saying the sales managers aren't. You have to speak, it's observation. It's like the doctor who does a prescription. God help you if you walk in and sit down here, take this, here's a prescription. Like, oh, wait, don't you want to know what's wrong with me? And so he has to do some tests before he can do it. The worst thing, he says, sit down and let me do surgery. Wait a minute. Maybe he's got some open time trying to make some money. No, he needs to do your test, and he tells you why you need that surgery, and you go, okay. And so that's what I'm thinking. So the marketing, there's nobody better qualified than the marketing manager because market sales is about, this is the big difference, okay? If being a good old boy and, hey, let's be friends. I mean, you're a nice guy. We're having a good conversation, but we had a meeting scheduled and we have respect for each other. But if I'm, calling you as a sales rep, this is really, really bad. The studies show now that I think it's 80% of the people do not trust sales reps, that they're 60 or 80% through their buying journey before they'll talk to a sales rep. So it ain't time to talk fluff. So the fluff guys are out of work. Mm-hmm. So now the pressure is you've got to be relevant. That doesn't mean I cannot do the same thing to everybody. Now I can have 15 different pitches, Okay, and that's fine. But the fact is, I better be talking to you about what you're interested in, and that, I'd show you a picture, but everybody get mad at me in the office. I have a picture. I said, don't show that anymore. But it's a picture. This is a perfect example, okay? It's a picture, and I live in Arizona, right? And it shows a picture, and I said, before the sale, before the call answered, the rep had a plan for the call, okay? But once the phone answers, the prospect has a different plan. And in this picture, it's a horse trying to throw a cowboy off. I mean, that horse is kicking his feet up, and the cowboy is going like this, and we're trying to stay on his back.
Yeah.
And that is too applicable to a sales call today. So once again, the buyer is this is what happened with COVID. The buyer is now totally in control of the purchase process, and the buyer is demanding that you add value. And you can only add value when you clarify something that is relevant to them, which means this soft stuff, which gets back to marketing. You need to take what you've got, and you're the best person because you can write something pretty, you can make it look pretty in marketing, you can express yourself well, far better than the sales rep, right? And you just got to put in his hands what he should say in the sequence you do it. And then you become the doctor. You walk in, case in point, you may be the lab tech, okay? And you walk into the meeting and you say, doctor, here is what's wrong with this person.
Yeah.
Okay, and the sales manager might be the doctor. And he'll say, we're going to do this surgery, lay down, we'll cut you open. But everybody agrees. So the marketing person, we give them the reports to say what is working, what is relevant. This is a golden opportunity for marketing agencies. It's not going to go backwards either.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I agree. Not all marketing experts that I know are copywriters, but they all have, I would agree, they all have a better way of expressing themselves, probably more than salespeople. That's 100%, because they think marketing. So if I'm a solopreneur, by the way, is it still relevant for me?
Yeah, yes, more so. Because that's the problem. Now, because you are an entrepreneur, sole entrepreneur, if you are, you've got a business to run, and you started this because you know how to make widgets.
Let's say I want to focus that. Let's say we're talking now to the listeners that are solopreneurs in their marketing agency and are trying to grow.
Okay, then the good news is the clients that who will hire them are the ones that think that they can create a perceived value. And something like what we do creates a high perceived value. I don't need and this is an advantage. If I'm a small marketing agency, I would say, you can go to the big marketing agency. What you're going to get is a formula. You're going to get an inexperienced person. They're going to the rate's going to be here. It's going to be viewed, and it'll kill you. The monthly rate will kill you. They won't do a bad job, but they're in a factory of generating a lot of revenue. Mm-hmm. Now, but I am a marketing person. I know what I'm doing in marketing. I want to sit down with you and understand your needs, and I'm going to craft message, because I'm not going to hand it off to somebody else. I'm going to do the work with you. I become your revenue partner. So I guess you could say redefine yourself as a revenue partner, not a marketing agency, because people don't need marketing. They don't pay a marketing agency for marketing. They pay a marketing agency for revenue, right? Mm-hmm. So redefine yourself as a revenue partner, that can add my expertise in writing effective messages around your product. And, so if you're small, then you sell the personality. I was telling you earlier, I was able to get 8 dentists in 1 year as clients because of the way the first dentist was so impressed when I was practicing CPA that I knew anything about it. It was because they had a perceived relevance to dentists.
Definitely. Okay. So if you can describe a 3-step. So tomorrow, one of the agency people that are listening to this now is waking up tomorrow. He decides he wants to go for it. What are the 3-step approach to starting a conversation with a prospect about it? He goes on LinkedIn. He wants to write a message. What does he write? I want to be your revenue partner. That's the positioning.
I just came with that idea in this conversation, but I think I might, because remember, if he's the same as everybody else, he gets nowhere, not a Zippo.
Agreed.
And so you've got to be thought-provoking. Now, if watching your face, this revenue partner is like, you're thinking. Okay, I got a question for you. How can you control what someone's thinking?
You can ask them the right questions.
Ask any question. Any question. The question gets you thinking about what questions you're on. Mm-hmm. Okay? And so if I am going to try to open a door, and I am a smaller agency, right? And I've got all these other guys. Why would I take the risk as a prospect to go with a small agency? Because I get a guaranteed result. Yes, I might spend more money, but time's of the essence. I need revenue now and whatever. I can't take a risk on a small guy unless he shatters my expectation of what a marketing agency is supposed to do. So my job isn't just to pump out a bunch of stuff and spend your money. My job is to redefine the job. My job is to be a revenue partner, generate your revenue. I don't write your product. Okay, I don't create your market. You do. You know how to better do that than me. But what I do is I know how to study markets, look at other competitors' ads, and write really compelling copy for you to deliver. And so that's what. And what I'm going to do as a smaller agency is just going to be me. I have more competence than you're going to get from a bigger agency. Bigger agencies are going to bring in the guy of my expertise to sell you, and then they're going to farm it out to the junior level, and you're going to get junior level work, and you're going to get the rates tripled. So if you want, and they don't care, because you're just one of many clients. So I'm a revenue partner. Yes, I'm a smaller agency, but am I credible? Do I know enough to help you? Yes. Do you think I want to help you? Yes. That's interesting. So I would write the copy, and I might even, if I were doing a blog post, I would say the problem this would be really wild. Say new relationships, call it a revenue partner. Say in the marketing agency, conundrum today is people buy from big agencies assuming it's a safe choice, but it's really not. Because what you get is you get mediocre results because the partner who sells you is not the one who delivers results. So you get a less experienced people. If you really want to optimize your revenue, if you really need to be effective in marketing, you need to get someone who cares as much about this as you do, and that'd be me. Okay, because this is my business. You have your business, you're a small company, I'm a small company. I want to serve you for the long term.
Right.
It's not some big thing. So you go after it, and basically you get them thinking like revenue partner. Maybe big agencies are not really as good as a small agency.
I like revenue partner. I like it.
Yeah.
I like the position.
Yeah. So you go there and you sell yourself and sell against the big guys and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? There's nothing wrong with big agents, nothing wrong with them. But it's true, right? The guy that sells you is not the one that delivers it. And so they do the scale business. Now, I'll give you an example. This is something to take home. When I did practice with Price Waterhouse, maybe I was a teacher's pet of the managing partner, and he gave me all kinds of special projects. I'm like, what? What he did, this will freak you out. He sent me to research prospective clients. And not to see if they have the money, but to make sure that they were clean businesses and weren't doing anything weird. Because if you're doing an audit, you say, in our opinion, based upon the tests that we conducted, these financial results present fairly the results. What happened? Now, it's based upon sampling statistics. And Price Waterhouse did not ever want to take on a client that was gray. Because gray clients do bad things, and then Price Waterhouse does a certification, which went to Wall Street and whatever, and the numbers were not what they were saying. And so I couldn't believe the managing partner was sending me the green bean to go over to research companies. He says, "I'm sorry, we won't take your business." Is that crazy? So that's because what they were saying is to take it home to marketing agencies, they rely upon junior people.
Yep.
And so since you're not going to junior people, we can't do, if I had a senior person in there doing the audit, I'm cool with that. But no, I'm a tier structure. I keep a lot of kids out of college, and I only want to go where the books are clean because I can't make any money. I'm going to get screwed. I'm going to get sued, and it's not worth it if I take on a client that's dirty because my model starts with green beans. So if I was, at a marketing agency tomorrow morning, I would establish myself. I got to be different than the established agencies, and I think they'll kill it.
Yeah, so I totally agree with you. I think revenue partner sounds like a great positioning. I think for marketing agencies here listening to this right now, they need to digest it a little bit. Tell me, where can they find additional information on this? I think on your website, maybe some videos, maybe play with the software. Where can they go?
Sure. Yeah. Just go to salesrelevance.com. Sales, one word, www.salesrelevance.com. And there's some videos right on the home page. And yes, they can try a free trial of it and things like that. And it would fit real well with your system because it totally supplements your system. And so they'll see what we do. As a matter of fact, we would pay them a referral fee of any of their clients that they would bring us in on to use this software. So what they would be doing is they would be putting the content in my system, because they would take the existing content, we would scan it in, import it, and then they would be there. And they would be that guy who they walk in with the chart and says, "Doctor, here's what I found about this guy." So the sales manager might be the doctor that's going to do the surgery, but he doesn't have the lab results. So I'm giving lab results. And plus, what I'm doing, the sales reps don't want to take advice. But they're competitive. So you'll see, salesrelevance.com.
Yeah. No, I look, I'm going to try it myself. We have a call center with 20 people. Most of them are SDRs, but some of their scripts are pretty sophisticated. So I think it will be a great test, not only for the salespeople, but also for the openers. I mean, unless you tell me otherwise, we'll talk after the podcast, because you really piqued my interest, and you're, by the way, a great marketing and salesperson, I have to tell you. You've been in this market so long. You started and sold companies, and you can provide a ton of advice. And I always ask people that I interview, because usually they're successful and they're experts and they give advice all the time. Do you remember like one awesome advice that you got?
Yes, from high school. And I've mentioned I had fantastic grades in college, not in high school. So I was taking a class, believe it or not. And so this teacher says, quitters never win and winners never quit. I'm thinking, what a stupid statement. But that's since high school, and it's true. And so it ain't over until it's over. And that's especially if you have entrepreneurs or people starting new businesses. There's a nuance thing, okay? And so you can swing and you can miss the green. Never quit. Learn from you don't do the same thing. Same thing gets the same results. But if you're willing to learn and don't quit, you'll succeed. I mean, there's a reason why most people succeed at in something sooner or later. I mean, really, anybody who tries well, if they'll learn from it, you can't quit. Okay, now maybe you shouldn't be doing certain things, but for the most part, if your heart's in it, if your passion's in it, don't quit. Quitters never win, and winners never quit.
It's a great advice. So before we close this session, there is a last part that we do in every episode is a rapid Q&A. I'm going to ask you a few questions. I need quick answers, okay? If none of these questions are edgy, but if you feel uncomfortable answering any of them, just say pass, okay?
Okay.
Okay, cool. So did you get along with your parents growing up?
Well, sadly, my father died when I was 7, so yes, I got along with my mother. So.
Okay. Do you have siblings?
Yes, 2.
Do you have a pet? I know you have a pet.
I have a big pet, yes.
How old were you when your first kid was born?
Probably 25.
When do you wake up?
5 o'clock every day.
When do you go to bed?
9 usually.
Ideal vacation?
That changes over time. So I used to pilot, so I used to do a lot of flying, used to have motorcycles, used to fish a lot. Now I'm going to see, visiting, traveling, going to see family, seeing friends, seeing grandchildren, that kind of stuff.
And last question, are you a man of faith?
Absolutely.
That's great. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, but I ask everybody the same set of questions. And the idea is try to see if there is some sort of repeating pattern between successful people. Now, obviously, I don't have all the data points, and right now the amount of data is limited because I need to do more and more interviews. But I don't want to jump into conclusions, but almost beside one, every person I talked with told me he's a man of faith, and I'm starting to think that because marketers have higher emotional intelligence, then maybe they're drawn more to this. I'm not sure, but it seems interesting. I'm trying to creating. Yeah, there is some sort of potential correlation here, or because entrepreneur is very optimistic, some sort of correlation. So this has been Amazing. Richard, you provided so much value since the beginning of this episode so fast. Guys, a few things you need to take from this. Think about the positioning of the revenue partner. Whether you're going to quickly understand and initiate the CRM, just the positioning of a revenue partner, I think, is an amazing positioning to get started with. Second, I would highly advise to go to Richard's website and look at the videos and try to understand how you can encapsulate that into your own business or helping others. And third, don't quit. Never quit. That's a great advice. So thank you so very much, Richard. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where we provide the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. Your host has been Itamar Shafir, founder and CEO of Umbrella, the technology platform and brand that is powering thousands of marketing agencies around the country. Find him at umbrellaus.com.